there, clodhoppers. Well, I want to welcome you to Homesteading at Kooker. Today I am going to go ahead and attempt to do cuttings on our tree collard. I think it's supposed to be a purple tree collard, and now that I look at some of the stems, there is some purple on them. However, maybe because we have it indoors, it's just not as dark of a purple as if it were outside. But it's been growing pretty well, especially for being inside in front of the window here in the kitchen. But as I mentioned a couple of videos ago, I need to try to take a couple of cuttings. I'm going to take tip cuttings because that works better for starting another plant. One of our viewers has requested to do a swap of tree collard for some Egyptian walking onions, and I've been wanting some Egyptian walking onions for a while. So when I saw that, I was like, ooh, I really got to try to take some cuttings. So that's what we're going to do. The method that I'm going to use, I found out from Plant Abundance. John Kohler also has some really great videos on taking cuttings, but due to climate outside right now, I'm going to do more of an indoor cutting scenario. John Kohler's method, typically he just cuts them and puts them straight into a prepared bed outside, which would work great. And if it were summertime, I would probably try to do that as well. But I kind of want to baby these a little bit, especially since we might still have a couple of freezes between now and when it really warms up all the way. So I'm going to modify the technique done by Plant Abundance. I really don't feel like going out and purchasing an expensive organic potting mix. So I'm going to try the natural play sand. I've also done cuttings in vermiculite and perlite, and it usually works out really well, but again, it's a little bit expensive. This bag of natural play sand at Home Depot was less than $4, and I can do a lot of cuttings with that. So, you know, I'm all about reusing. So I'm going to use this old yogurt container that I just washed out. I'm going to use the lid as kind of the water catchment system underneath, because I'm going to take a pair of scissors and I'm going to snip a few spots on here to poke some holes so that the cuttings aren't completely saturated with water. And I'm just making a few slits around. I'm not looking for perfection. I just don't want the cuttings drowning in water. So I've just made a few slits going around the container. And again, it's going to sit on top of the lid on the windowsill. So if I happen to overwater, this will catch it and keep it from getting on our windowsill. So now that I've got those slits cut, I'm going to put some sand in the container. We've also tried using this sand as a dust bath for our chickens before, but this sand tends to stay fairly wet, so it didn't really work out very well for that particular project. But that lends itself to being a great medium for rooting cuttings. So I'm really excited about this method, and if you watch Plant Abundance, he has several follow-up videos, and this really seems to work well for him. So, because of the results, I was like, okay, yeah, I want to try that method. Alright, so I filled it up. I had about 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch of gap space, but then when I watered it in, it went down quite a bit. So I think I'm going to add a little bit more sand, and then I'll just call that good. And if it goes down some more, which it probably will, well, maybe I will add a little more. So I'm going to add a little bit more sand, just from seeing how much it went down whenever I watered it. I'm going to go more to like 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch below the top. Now I'm not going to water this one, this top little layer I just added in, because we'll water it after we put the cuttings in. There are several methods that Plant Abundance shows for using a rooting hormone or rooting medium to help the cuttings send out roots. It just encourages growth. He uses some commercial products, but he also has videos showing using aloe vera gel. He's used honey in the past, and he mentioned another one, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. But I've also heard you can use willow tree, and you can put that in some water and steep it for a while. But I have some old rooting powder, and I'm just gonna try that. It's not organic, but it's what I have, and so it's what I'm gonna use for now. Maybe next time I'll try the aloe vera method. Okay, and I'm going to do something they say not to do. They say don't dip your cuttings directly in your container, because if the cutting is contaminated, it'll contaminate your rooting hormone. I'm just being too lazy to get another container to put it in. And honestly, I don't know how active that is anyway, because it is so old. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and use a sharp knife to do my cuttings, just to try to get a clean cut. I might cut it off straight so it's easier for the plant to heal, and then I'll cut at an angle to give more surface area for the rooting hormone to adhere to, and hopefully give more opportunity for rooting. Alright, so from what I've seen, you want to get a couple of nodes that will be below the surface of your medium, and you want to take off the extra leaves. And I am going to save those leaves, and maybe I'll saute them up tonight for Malachi and I. Justin's having a guys game night tonight, so it'll just be Mr. Sir and I. So I've left one leaf that's coming out, and then one tiny one that's just starting to come out. I'm going to dip the end of this in some water, and then dip it into my rooting hormone. And I'm covering at least one node with the rooting hormone. Then I'm going to take my scissors, probably a pencil would be better, but scissors is what I got with me. Make a hole in my sand, and then I'm just going to put the cutting in, and I put about 3 nodes underneath, and I'm just gently firming the sand down a little bit around it. 2 nodes might be enough, or at least I'm hoping, but seeing how much the sand went down when I watered it, I'm afraid it's going to go down again and maybe uncover that 3rd top node. So I'm hopeful, as long as at least 2 nodes are underneath the sand, that it will still take root pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and make 2 or 3 more holes so that they're ready for our next cuttings. I don't know exactly how many cuttings I'm going to take, so. Alright. Now obviously this one went off to the side this week and decided to go crooked, so I do for sure want to cut that one. And I'm going to cut it here, just because that's where I want the plant. Oh. All right. Okay. Ideally, you would want your cutting to be straight. I don't want to waste this one, so I'm still going to use it, but there aren't many nodes to be able to put underground if I try to straighten this up. I could cut it right there and then try to put these 3 underneath, but that wouldn't leave much on top. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use the length of the stem, and once it takes root, I can always cut back the top to encourage it to grow the other way. That's my thinking, at least. We'll see how how well that works out. Gonna cut it at an angle. Dip it in water. Dip it in the rooting hormone. And put it in the sand. Okay, well, there's that experiment. Close up. Close up the rooting hormone so it doesn't make a mess. We will go ahead and water gently. We don't want to add too much water because we don't want to wash off all the rooting hormone, but we need to water it in so it kind of packs in a little bit. Get rid of the air pockets around the cuttings. I think that'll work for now. And then we'll put it in the windowsill. Okay, we're at our windowsill. So we will put that on the windowsill. Hopefully it'll get plenty of light, and having it here, I'll remember to water it at least periodically. And then we'll see how it goes. I'll keep y'all updated. Rhonda, check back with me, see if I've got some cuttings for you so we can do that swap. Thanks for joining me today, clodhoppers. Y'all have a blessed day.
Hey clodhoppers, thanks for watching the video. Push the thumbs up to like the video. Also hit that subscribe button, also the bell, so that you can get notifications when our videos come out.
Check us out on our social media pages too. We have Facebook and Pinterest, and soon we'll have Instagram. The links are below. Bye y'all!
Bye! Good job.